Okay, everybody can see that?
Choking.
All right, so choking. We're going to talk about the Heimlich Maneuver today. Can everybody hear me? Yes, kind of, sort of. All right, so we're going to talk about the Heimlich Maneuver. Choking, how to perform the Heimlich on adults, children, and infants, and how to save yourself. And this is one of those practical applications where you never know where somebody's going to need you. Now, we're all supposed to be looking out for our brother, right?
Yes.
We're supposed to be looking out for our brother. This little simple maneuver can save lives. I'm going to give you a small demonstration. Those who have the little mannequins, can you stand up for me? All right, so we know how these little buggers, not these guys, but we know how little kids can actually find the smallest items on the floor, especially when you're babysitting, maybe your grandchild or maybe a neighbor's kid. They can pick up the smallest item, put it in their mouth, and it can lodge. So their trachea, which is where the air actually travels through to the lungs, is only the size of a pinky. So it's really tiny. It's not that big. So they put something in their mouths, they start choking on it. You can see that they're not passing air, and they might actually change colors, maybe get ashen, maybe start turning blue, depending on what the melanin content is. So once you see that, what you want to do is you want to take the baby. You want to cradle the head. Turn him upside down. Excellent. You want to cradle the head because the head is really heavy, and you want to give a little space between the mouth, and then let gravity work right between the shoulder blades. You want to hit 5 times. Awesome. Now it's not gentle, it's really hard. And then you want to flip the baby over, and then you want to give 5 chest thrusts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chest thrust is going to be right between the nipples, okay? Right between the nipples, you're going to push hard 5 times. If you see say it again?
2 fingers?
2 fingers, absolutely, 2 fingers. If that item doesn't come up, you want to repeat it back and forth. You're going to keep doing the back blows between the shoulder blades. Then you can do chest thrusts. If you happen to see the item, you're going to go ahead and pull the item out. That's when you actually put your finger in there. Before, it used to be called a blind finger sweep. You're not doing a blind finger sweep anymore because you might actually lodge it even deeper. All right, so you only put your fingers in there if you see the item. Now, what do we do if the thing doesn't come out and the child goes unconscious? You call 911 and continue the compressions. No, you're absolutely right. Thank you for that. You continue the compressions because the Lord has made us in such a way that while we hold our breaths, we have an oxygen reservoir in our bodies. There's an actual oxygen buildup. So when you talk about actually saving somebody's life, you're actually talking about brain health, not necessarily bodily health. It doesn't make sense for us to bring somebody back and they're a vegetable, lying in bed, they can't think, they can't do anything. That's not saving a person. We're actually talking about making sure that the oxygen that is within the body is still going around, circulating through the brain, and the rest of the organs. That's the goal. We are perfusionists, if you will. We're only doing that which the heart isn't able to do anymore. Okay, so we talked about the infants. And I'm going to leave these guys here so that during lunch, if you wanted to, you can play with them. All right, so I talked about step 2. That was, just so now that you can see, right between the nipple line there, 5 compressions. If you see it, then you can pull it out. All right, if you can't see it, leave it in there. All right, you keep doing steps 2 and 3 until the object is absolutely expelled or the patient becomes unconscious. If the infant becomes unconscious, unresponsive, perform CPR, call for medical assistance. Even if that item gets spit out, go ahead and call 911 anyway. Let them come in and just evaluate the child. All right, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. All right, how many people have ever started choking on something and you were alone? Oh, is it just me? Okay, all right. So what do you do? I was asked several times, because I teach CPR, I was asked several times, what do you do if you're alone? And thank you. What do you do if you're alone in your house and you start choking on it? You know what? I was driving one time and I was eating Gneps. Boy, yeah. Yeah, ganebs are dangerous. Ganebs are dangerous, man. That slips down the wrong pipe and yeah, it's horrible, all right? Last class I taught, I've been teaching for well over 20 years. The last class I taught was the first time that I had one person, and it wasn't even just one person, it was two people come to me and say, I actually started choking on something by myself and I saved myself. How did they do it? They both talked about the exact same principle. The one person found a couch. They were actually at home. They found a couch and they threw themselves on the corner of the couch. The other person did something similar. They were actually driving, but they were all the way in western Martin County on Canner Highway out in the middle of nowhere, right? And they were in their truck and there was nobody around them. So she lowered the bed of the truck and threw herself on the bed of the truck, on the corner of the bed of the truck. Sounds kind of violent, right? But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? There's nothing else that you can do. You can go ahead and call 911 and hopefully they can find you. Hopefully. If you're at home alone, so there's something else that you might want to contemplate. If you,
why it have to be on the corner of the...
Great question. You beat me to it.
Okay, all right.
That's mine. So why the corner? Elder Red, I'm going to use you.
Oh, okay.
Why the corner? So what we want to do is we want to stimulate a cough. And that's what the Heimlich really is. It's all about trying to simulate a cough. So if you can't move air back and forth, that air is just kind of trapped in your lungs. So the goal is to find an object that's going to come right below your diaphragm and force it in. It's going to be a forceful push. All right, so Elder Wright's a big guy. Step forward for me. Elder Wright's a big guy. So you know how Elder Wright, he likes to eat a lot of food. All right, this time he didn't chew like Sister Rose told us to. See, all the health nuggets, they all coincide. They all mesh. All right, so Elder Wright, he starts choking. He gives me that universal sign like, oh, I'm dying. Somebody help me. I look at Elder Wright, it's like, Elder Wright, are you choking or are you just eating? He's like, no, I'm dying. So I come behind him, all right, and I spread his legs a little bit. I try to find his belly button, and I'm gonna go right above his belly button, but just below his rib cage. So the diaphragm is like a cone shape, just like this, right? So you find that little spot right before, and you're gonna give a forceful push. I'm not gonna do it because last time somebody did it on me, my ribs were sore for a month. It was terrible. All right, so I'm not gonna do that to him. But what you wanna do, I'm gonna show you. You see how I have my leg between his legs? And he's a pretty big guy, all right? So I have my legs between his legs. I'm gonna keep doing this nice and hard until it actually comes out. If it doesn't come out and he goes unconscious, go ahead and go limp. All right, see, but I can control him, right? He's not just gonna fall to the ground. I can actually, stand up for me. I can actually lay him down and then I'm gonna go ahead and go into compressions. All right, why are we gonna go into compressions? Let's see if you were listening. To keep the air that's already in the body circulating, and that's the goal, all right? So what's gonna happen is that fire rescue is gonna come. They're gonna come with some equipment that's gonna be able to see exactly what it is and then pull it out, all right? And we've done this many, many times. So thank you very much for that. And so lastly, let's talk about children. It's the exact same thing with little baby, not infants, but actually children. It's the exact same thing. You just want to find that landmark, push in nice and hard landmark. Just get on their level if you have to. Nice and hard, and it's the same principle. If they go unconscious, it's not the end of the world. Something can still be done. Start compressions, make sure you have help coming. That's it, I'm done. Does anybody have any questions on that? No question? Yes, ma'am.
You start kind of food first before calling 911, or is it the other way around? You start.
Great question. So I guess it all depends on how it goes. Most of the time, somebody's gonna be around, right? All right, and somebody's gonna see somebody else that's trying to help that person. That other person that's witnessing, go ahead and call 911. If it's just you Airway first. Deal with the airway, all right? Especially with children. So if a child goes into cardiac arrest, 99.9% of the time it's because their airway was blocked, all right? So in CPR, you always want to address that first and then call 911. Either way, call 911. Get them coming. Even if that person seems to be okay, have them come. Yes, sir.
Is it the same as with the child, so you give them the compression zone in front of the chest, and then after 4 or 5, turn them over and bang on them?
Okay, so that's only with infants. That's only with infants. I don't want to confuse you. Yeah, that's only with infants. So an infant is right at the age of 1. All right. So a child is everywhere from 2 and up. So, and 2-year-olds, some of us can't handle a 2-year-old like that. And even some of the big infants, you might have to get down and just sit down and do it that way. You might not be able to stand up and do it. Yes, ma'am.
Could I really Heimlich on myself?
Yes, you can do the Heimlich on yourself. And so that's what I was talking about with the chair or the couch or any item that's going to be able to fit right in this notch, right in this notch. Something, yes, something with a corner. And so, I didn't show you the hand placement. There's 2 ways of actually creating that little pocket. I was watching a lot of videos on YouTube that try to show you how to do it. And what I noticed is that for every person that actually did it and saved a life, the technique wasn't perfect. Perfect, right? Sometimes they were going right around the ribs, all right, and that would cause a lot of hurt, a lot of damage, but it saved their life. The ideal way of doing it is creating a little pocket. So you can take your non-dominant hand, cover your dominant hand, and then, so what that does is that creates a little fist right here. And then you can push it in, right? Can you do that to yourself? You can do that to yourself. Or you can take your non-dominant hand, grab the thumb of your non-dominant hand, fold it over, and it still creates a little notch here. You see that? So even that little fist. So the goal is just to get right between that little notch here, right that space, and pull in. That's the goal. So all the saves that I was watching on YouTube, it worked. It necessarily wasn't perfect according to AHA or even Dr. Heimlich standards, but it still worked. And even at 96, Dr. Heimlich was still performing the procedure on somebody and saving lives. So it's really amazing. Awesome. Thank you guys.